I just hope the network won't deal with us today. Hi everyone, good afternoon. Oh, hi Peter. So guys, if you are joining in, please kindly introduce yourself in the comments section so that we know you are here. Just give us your name, the name of your business, and your location. Yeah, glad to have you guys um, on this final day of the Ideate training. Yeah, I'm excited. On the other hand, we won't be seeing a lot of you guys that much, but we are certain that you've made a lot of progress on your startup. So if you are joining, please give us your name, your startup name, and your location. We'll be starting in a moment. So Peter, I can see Peter. Peter, please give us your name. So we'll be dropping the link to join the studio. So in case you want to join the studio, and then if you have a pitch deck, we would like to tear down a pitch deck today. So if you have your pitch deck and you want like a feedback on your pitch deck, yeah. So you can let us know. We are also sending you the link to the studio in case you want to join. So today we serve more like an overall revision session for everything you've done in the past 5 weeks for those in IDIT 5, and then for those from IDIT 4 too, everything you've done. And we also hope that you've made progress in terms of getting traction for your business since you finished your I did 5 training. So today serves as a revision session, and then um, a wrap up on what is it called, the the session on pivoting that we couldn't do the other day, then investment readiness for startups. So those just joining in, please give us your name, your location, and your company. So we have Peter from Zambia, Alocare Company. Okay, good to have you, Peter. Mary Katambi, founder CEO, IG Closet. So other people, if you are joining in, please introduce yourself so that we start immediately without taking much time. Okay, give me a minute. Let me set this up a bit. Okay, I think we'll start now. Can you guys hear me? Mary, Peter, can you hear me very well? Peter, Mary, and others online. If you can hear me, kindly indicate in the comment. Okay, can you guys hear me? Please, if you can hear me, indicate. Fred, can you hear me now? Sorry, I think my network is a little bit problematic today. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, indicate. Theodore, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think we are going to delve into the session. Guys, if you can hear me, please indicate the comment section. So now, good afternoon once again. So we'll be introducing the one of our facilitators for today. So in today's session, we'll be handling two topics. I and Theodore will be facilitating the session. So Theodore will first do pivoting for startups, while we handle investment readiness for startups, which should accommodate all you've done from the beginning of this program just a brief summary, and then we take all your questions. That's why we brought together ideate 4 and 5, so that we have more like a review or a revision session where you get all your questions and all your challenges, maybe from the program or from the mentorship session or wherever, so that we tackle everything here, both for ideate 4 and ideate 5. And then we have the final part of this session today where we talk about your demo day, and then you ask all your questions regarding the demo day. So we have with us here today Theodore Longi. Theodore is the Director of Ecosystem for ISN. He's the lead at NHub and has been in the startup space for over 10 years. He's had conversation around entrepreneurship, innovation, and the growth of the tech ecosystem and policy shaping in Nigeria and Africa at large. His domain expertise is in ideation, business research, and startup discovery. He's a mentor at VC for Africa. He has mentored including the Next Economy Program, the Startup Nigeria by Ventures Platform Foundation, African Entrepreneurship Award, Click on Kaduna, Nida Ties Program, and a lot of other programs. So please join me in welcoming Theodore as he starts the session on pivoting. Welcome to the studio, Theodore.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me very well. If you can hear me, you can just indicate uh, so we can move on.
Yeah,
So
I can
we
hear you. I can hear you.
oh great. Okay, great. So we're good to go then. So we began last week before my network just decided to not allow us to go on. I began by um, telling us a story, just to put in perspective what we're about to um, learn in the process of this session. I was just sharing a practical, example of what it means to pivot. These are literal, these are stories, these are things that really happen. Two stories actually. The first story was about um, a partnership that we forged. I think in 2019. There's this lending company who was doing the her lending, manually. So at that time, we looked at a lending company where we're using the technology to drive the processes. So somehow, a friend, introduced us with this guy. So we came together. We brought in technology. They brought in their processes, their know-how, and also a customer base. So we joined. We had a partnership, and we rolled out. We're doing fine until we began to experience some issues. I think those issues were just waiting for the right time to rear their ugly heads, and that's business for you. You know. So for us, for me personally, is the lessons that I learned, the takeaways that I have with me today, which tend to apply everywhere in new ventures that I'm establishing or new ventures that I'm part of, or ventures that I'm already part of. So those lessons are always there, and that's the exciting thing about this space, that we're all operating in. So to cut the long story short, we began to we rolled out, hit the ground running, and then we began to notice at some point some of the investors who were not onboarded by us, of course, since the business has been already been existing already. So we just brought in technology. So we met an existing structure that was already there. So problems began to rear their heads, and it is, you know, on the part of some of the investors that actually invested money, and all that into the company. So that problem escalated and just kind of slowed things down. And at some point, I remember very well, we were trying to bring in, because at that time we structured the company to a startup, meaning that, so when you talk about startup, what do you mean in essence? When you hear people talk about startup in this context, it is a fast growing company, fast growth company, fast growth company, right? It's about growth, right? It's not SME. SME is about sustenance, right? Because SME is usually, you see an SME 50 years down the line, just the way it is. It has not improved, but it's not dead. It's just the way they are. The family keep taking it over and over. But once you set out for, you know, uh, launching a startup, you know that it's a fast growth company, meaning that it can scale beyond just your physical location. It means someone can invest in it. It has those capacities, that's flexibilities to take in such things. So yeah, so just a little diversion, just so we can have this clarity. So yeah, so those problems began to rear their ugly heads, and in fact, at the long run, the start story, the company just kind of died. Now, for us who have been in this space doing our stuff, you just know that if the company dies, it doesn't mean that our hopes or whatever we believe in dies along with the company. We kept hope alive, and we began to look at, okay, what do we do? That's where pivoting it's coming to play. So we thought about, since we already have a structure, we have an app, you know, that can accommodate some of the processes involved, in lending and all that. So it's almost like, so we just need a few things, um, some few features to build, and then it becomes, kind of a micro lending, platform, something micro finance banks can key into. So we thought of, a model, software as a service. So we began to structure uh, the startup in that direction, and we're able to, um, you know, um, we did our due diligence, and then that's what we're currently, um, what used to be Orange Credit, that pivoted to what we call, a SaaS company, um, that's taking care of um, microfinance banks. So we want microfinance banks to act like fintech, where you could do, all the flexibilities that um, fintech companies have. We want the microfinance to have that, as an edge, so that they can be competitive in the space. You know how it is right now. You cannot be doing things, the way, because microfinance banks, you understand that some of the limitations they have, they still do things as if we are in in the dark age, due to the way and manner their processes are. They don't probably have the resources the mainstream banks have, or they don't have the technology that fintech companies have. So we thought that if we bring in um, what's fintech, what the fintech companies have right now, we integrate it into the microfinance bank, it will give them that competitive edge, to compete favorably with the fintech companies who are really raking in the money. So, that's how we pivoted, to a SaaS company. So, story number two. There's somebody I respect very well in the space. It's a mentor to some of us, who he's been working, with a big company, and he has always wanted, to start up in a restaurant business. So after a while, he thought that it's time. His time with the corporate world is over. He needs to start up something, and restaurant business is on the top of his list. So um, he disengaged from the office, and began the process of, setting up a restaurant. So in the process, he thought of getting, of course, how that good meals usually should give you enough customer base. For instance, I go to a restaurant, they have their meals are amazing. I come out, I share, I do the marketing myself. Oh man, this restaurant, this particular restaurant, their food is amazing. I mean, tasty meals, and all that. So I see that's enough to drive customers to the restaurant. We'll find out. So the process began. He was able to set up a place, good enough, and all that. He got a chef from somewhere, and the chef began to cook the meals in the restaurant. And then he now realized that after a while, he realized even his friends who came probably after the lunch and then a couple of times and they stopped coming. And he began to wonder, but that's what entrepreneurs do. That's what startup guys do. So you go back to the drawing board and check what went wrong. What am I doing right? What am I not doing right? Those stuff, you know, those due diligence that we do every day. So he now thought of, okay, fine, maybe uh, maybe the chef is not really good enough. So he fired the chef, brought in a new guy. The guy took over, and then the same thing. And in fact, at this point, it's even worse. So then over time, this is where sometimes you need to validate. Validation doesn't happen one time. It's a continuous process, something you do. Validate your market. Go back to the market. What did I not get well? Sometimes there are false information. Sometimes there's biases. Sometimes mostly from our own end. So your data might be compromised, but you think that you have the best data, and this data is telling you this space, this market size is good. Let's go, and you go, and then you begin to encounter issues. So most times you pull back, um, revalidate the market and check if really the data is correct or not. It will tell you, or else. So that way you can, you know, go back to the drawing board, re-strategize, and all that. So he came back. Now, after coming back, several attempts, at revalidating the market, what exactly it is, what am I really, um, who are these my customers, most especially who your customer is, or the segment you're operating. Are these really my guys, or really, really in search of the solution I'm providing? Are they really the guys, or should I look further? You know, these are basic questions where you ask yourself. So he now realized that actually the restaurant business, his customer segment are the Gen Zs. And the Gen Zs, if you look at their characteristics, you understand that the Gen Zs are, like some flashy stuff. They like place with good ambience, and all that, all those cool stuff. So that was how he was able to hack, this pending issue, this problem. So he now, brought everything down, you know, was able to put up that ambience, enough to attract these guys, these Gen Z guys, and all that. And after that, and then he now realized that he doesn't need to be paying so much money on a share, since ambience is actually what these guys really want. Then the food doesn't matter, how it tastes doesn't matter. We fired the chef and brought in the new guy, the guy who an average, uh, person that cook this time around. It doesn't have to be a chef, just somebody who probably has done with enough experience, has been in this restaurant business, to come, take over cooking and all that. He did that, and things changed. Trust me. So business started booming. Place was so, became the talk of town. Oh, amazing space. So people, so these guys were not really about the food. They don't care how it tastes. All they want is, that place where I can bring in my girlfriend, where I can come in with my laptop and walk. I buy drinks, I buy whatever it is. So that cozy place, take some pictures. So basically, that was what he was selling. He was selling. He now realized that he was supposed to be selling ambience, not food. So these are some of the things. that happened. So he voted from actually, uh, um, right, what the customer, his customer, right, or the market. So he pivoted to market. We're going to see, um, some of these examples. I'm just talking about our own context. We'll look at some of the big guys, startup, companies that have done that, and what went wrong, and then how did they manage it. So, of course, we just want to look at the concept behind pivoting in the startup world, and then its importance for sustainable growth. Then, of course, discuss the reasons why startups pivot. What are the reasons why they do that? Where from the story, you know that already there are so many reasons why. Just we're just able to look at two. One of them is that the business died. It was not really making sense, so we had to look at something else. And then the second story is that um, the, the customers. He didn't know who his customers are in the first place, but he was able to look deep. He was patient enough to look deep, and then he found out that his customers really, this is who they are, and this is what they want. And business began to make sense ever since. So, um, so of course, like I said earlier, in our last class, this is basically pivoting is basically and strategies in order to um, um, to meet up with demands or meet up with current realities, right? As regards to your business, and most times it happens on your business model, and most times it happens on your product, and sometimes like target market. For that other guy, the last story was the target market, right? And all that. So yeah, for our own cases, the product, we had to change the product since the business died. We don't have um, investors to give us money to loan out. So we had to change the product, you know. So of course, all this happens to changing market conditions and customer needs. People are changing, customer needs are changing. People want things done differently. So I can do something for you today in a certain way. Tomorrow you want it another way. So you need to pay attention to what customer, the trend, how these things changing, how they're evolving, how people, customers, are they responding to the changes. We live in a world where things are changing very fast. So you want things done to you in a certain way. So yeah, so it's a proactive approach that allows startups to adapt, evolve, and then maximize their chances of success. So of course, yeah. So to be proactive, immediately, whenever you sense, right, that things are not working, you tell yourselves the truth. You tell yourself the truth. Hey, let's be proactive about this before things will get too bad, and then you move quickly, and then uh, change things. Yeah, so these are some of the reasons um, pivoting happens. Yeah, like market validation. Like I said, you need to validate the market. We saw the story I just told you about. How that revalidating the market really, gave him an upper hand. So he was able to um, fix the problem. Uh, so you need to check if there's genuine demand for your product or your service out there. Sometimes, like I said, startups usually just kind of like their ideas. They hold on to their ideas, even when they see the truth. Just because of the bias. As humans, we have certain biases, But the moment you grow up and don't look at how nice or whatever, you are telling yourself the truth. You will grow up and be able to make those decisions that will help you in the future. So we need to grow up and then take things the way they are. If you are seeing the glaring truths about it, no, I believe things will work. No, there are certain things that you don't have to believe. You just need to cut the journey short by just taking advice and moving forward. Then customer feedback, yeah, that's another thing. You should be able to take customer feedback. This is a very very important feedback, or a very important reason to pivot. If your customers are telling you this is how we want it, it's about them. It's not about you. Remember, I always tell startups, founders, that hey, it's this thing you're building. Don't think it's about you. It's not. It has nothing to do about you, but it has everything to do about the customer. Who this thing you're building? Okay, if you're building for yourself, then leave it at home now. Then just get high on it. It's your supply. Get high on it. But you're building with the customer in mind. So it has to be about him. How does he want to deliver? You just simply do it that way. I mean, that's how he keeps coming. Or else he won't come back again. And business is about repeatedness. It's about somebody coming back over and over to keep giving you the money. Or else business dies. That's how it is. So you'll get valuable insights from customers if you know how to get feedback. So most times you have to find feedback, or else you wake up one day and realize that the customers are with the other person, your competitor somewhere or just close by. So we need to find a way of getting feedback from our customers. It's very, very critical in this space. Now, technology advancement, yeah, of course, we want to use a better technology, more efficient technology to deploy this sort of solution so that everyone gets happy. So the people with the better technology tend to be more, tend to succeed in that space. And especially when you're competing with a whole of big guys with big budget and all that. You have to ensure that the technology is efficient enough to deliver on your offer of value. So yeah, so changing market landscape, yeah, of course. Like we said, things are changing. You have to pay attention to what's going on. You have to pay attention to the trends, as they come. There are ways you can get, uh, first, information on the current, what's happening, how people are reacting to some of these changes and new technologies and all that. Yeah, and then so that you don't wake up for disruption to happen to you. So yeah, it's very, very critical. Uh, the types of pivots. Now, of course, product pivots. We thought that we talked about that. Product is one of the things you pivot. Market pivot. We change from one market to the other. We saw a critical example when I started, and then technology too. We move to a better technology, more efficient technology to deliver your goods and services, and then of course business model. How are we making money? Of course, these are another very, very important way, reason why you should pivot. So revenues are not coming in as you should. You have to go back to the drawing board and see what are we not doing right and all that, and then make that decision and then run with it immediately. And then of course distribution channels. So how do we distribute better, more efficient? So these are the things you have to look at. So if you have to dump the old distribution channels and then work with the new distribution channels, so long as they're efficient enough, why not? Key steps in executing, a startup pivot. Now, of course, you identify the need for change. Of course, you have to look at. Now, I'm just the way I'm saying it, like it's very simple to go about. No, it takes a lot of process. It takes a lot of um, work, for you to be able to see the need, and or else you might just pivot on what's already working. So it doesn't make sense. So if it's working, probably you just need to do a little tweak in here or double up. Yeah, why not do it? So pivot doesn't become your last solution, or the first thing you have to do. No, you have to go in, look at the symptoms, validate and ensure that yeah, this problem exists, and the only way we can fix it is to pivot before you pivot. And then, of course, we'll look at where there are stakeholders. Of course, you have to bring in your team, and all that before. And then even your stakeholders, if you have investors too, they need to know, some of these things. Yeah, of course, before you can take a step, to pivot. And then define the new direction. So, of course, clearly, you have to articulate, the vision, goals, and the target market for the startup. Yeah, so these are critical things you have to put out on paper and then ensure that they are properly done and double check before you begin the process. Then develop a plan. Yeah, of course, outline the steps, resources, and timeline required to execute the people. Most times, of course, it just doesn't happen in thin air. Resources are involved. Sometimes you have to break the bank. Sometimes you have to go take loan, and all that, just to ensure if you are sure that once you do this, in a very short period, revenues will go up, and stuff like that. Once you're sure of these things, why not go ahead with your pivot as fast as possible? Because this is a market where your competitors are dominating by the day. So you don't want to relax and allow them to take over the market so you don't have anything to fall back to. So yeah, so very, very critical to move very fast. Then communicate with stakeholders, like I said. Of course, you have to look at, of course, everyone that you work with, your team, everyone should be in alignment with, and then be able to support the people. So if anyone is objecting, you have to look at it critically. Don't say no. This thing has been done. Don't just you know just how that you just no, we don't need to. I mean, we have it covered. I mean, we have it covered. No, you take every opinion or every perspective of your team members seriously. You look at it, you digest it, ensure that so that you don't miss anything in the long run, and just waste money in the process and time, valuable time, and all that. So yeah, uh, these are some of the things, and then monitor and evaluate. Of course, you need to come up with the metrics. What are we going to be looking at to ensure, okay, if we meet this one, the second one, the first one, we know that yeah, we're good to go. So you have to look at those metrics and ensure that yeah, they are yeah, whatever your pivot is working as planned. Those are the things that will tell you that yes, you're doing good or not. So the metrics will tell you whether you're doing good or not. Do we have more customers? Are we really making the revenue? I mean, these are very, very important metrics to set. But whatever, it all depends on the space you're operating and whatever metrics you're going to come up with. At the end of the day, let the metrics be able to show you that you're making progress. You know, Airbnb, case studies. So, we looked at the Nigerian context. These are stories that I shared earlier on. Uh, these are things that happen, to us. These are things we experience and we know about for sure. But Airbnb, of course, some of the case studies captured here, probably things we don't even know.
Theodore, I think someone is saying that you are moving too fast.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
okay, okay, fine.
Yeah, so guys, if
So,
you have questions, you can draw question in the comment section so that the facilitator will see it there.
Where exactly, so I can go back? The essence of this
If you
class
have,
or this session is for understanding. So I can go over it again. There's no problem at all. So, is there something you missed? I can talk about it again. If you can put it on the chat, I can go over it. Or else we just progress. Sorry about that. So I was saying that Airbnb started as a platform for. Now we're just looking at a global um, startups that are making wave today, and we see that they have their own story. These things don't happen in thin air. They would have started, and these are some of the things that encourage us. So you just know that pivoting is not for the weak. It's not for the weak at all. It's something people do when things are not working, right? Even you, if you are, if you see better alternatives, you pick them up. At least it's the ones that are better. So it's just about decision making, right? The ones that will favor you. So Airbnb started as a platform for renting air mattresses and later evolved into a global accommodation market. That was their story. That was their story. So they pivoted, they saw an opportunity while they're doing something, they saw opportunity and they grabbed it. I mean, they didn't joke about it. Today they are what they are because they pivoted. If they didn't do this, probably they were second guessing and saying, hey, let's stay back a little bit. This thing will work. Let's push on, let's push on. No, see, when the data is there telling you that this is what it is, right? You have done what the due diligence, and then the data is telling you pivot. You don't have to wait for anybody. Immediately, just jump on it. So they did that, and today they're what they are, right? So Twitter was initially audio created to serve, as a platform for finding, subscribing to podcasts, right? Uh, it has stiff competition from iTunes, making the likelihood of success slim. Then they pivoted, and today they are what they are. And we saw um, they are now X, right? So this is the story, and I think how they pivoted. I read the story. Um, uh, the founder, that's what's his name now? Um, uh, the Twitter founder. What's that name? Just skip my. Yeah, but whatever. He was at that time. He was an engineer. That was how he came in and then was able to build Twitter and, the, and that was how they pivoted, you know. And imagine, um, imagine what they generated as a result of the takeover from Elon Musk. So they made so much money, so much money. So PayPal also started as a software security company, you know, for handheld devices, and then that was how they started, and then you know they became PayPal, from a security company to now a payment, you know, processor and all that. So that was how. Then Netflix, you know, started as a software security company. Okay, sorry. Netflix started as a small order DVT. They just you order, they send by mail, right? So instead of going to go and pick, so once you order, a mailman will just carry the DVD in an envelope and deliver to the house, you know, like that. So that was how they started, you know, before you know they began to generate data, and they are what they are today. A lot of people binged on Netflix, you know, almost, you know. And so it's been just you know crazy and amazing how pivots happen and how successful for these are. It might not be as successful for so many companies. I just wanted to um, 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 uh, pay attention on the good stories. You know, I don't want us to dive into some of the bad stories. But of course, for those who did not work, for those who pivoted and did not work, probably didn't really do a good job. They didn't research very well. Probably didn't carry their team very well. These are some of the things that will make a pivot not to be successful. But a successful pivot usually you have to carry your team along. There are little details that everyone will, they can bring to the table that will enable and make the pivoting, a success. So, of course, benefits of startup pivoting. Of course, increased market relevance. You know, by pivoting, enables the startup to stay ahead of changing customer needs and market trends. Yeah. So, for the sake of even the changing customers, right? We see banks coming up with different packages. Those things they emanate from research. Most companies have R&D departments, big guys, big corporations. That's why they're always ahead of the curve, because those research, what these people do is to just look at customer behaviors and begin to preempt. And then, so before you know it, they come up with a product, and as soon as it's launched, people just go for it. So see, but as startups, you might not have the luxury of an R&D department, not talk of the resources they to deploy. So much money goes into R&D, trust me. For the big guys, that's why they keep beating this, because they need to stay ahead, or else they might just wake up one day and realize that they are old school, and then that would be the end of such businesses. So yeah, so they spend a lot of money to ensure that they keep pushing, getting the better chunk of the size of the market size and whatever. Yeah, so enhance competitive advantage. Of course, adapting to new technologies, market disruption, startups can gain a competitive edge over their competitors. So, of course, you have to be doing that, bringing seamless technology. If your technology still have people are having difficulties, um, enjoying the experience, the journey through from, let's say, an e-commerce platform. So if I have difficulties and all, I might not come there tomorrow. The moment I know there's a better alternative out there, that's the end. You'll never see me again. So you have to look at better ways, minimalist, yes, minimalist approach, where you don't have so much uh, distraction, right? That's product development. So minimalist approach. So there's no too much distraction. People just come in there, they see information, very short information, it takes them there, before they know it, whatever it is they want to do, they get to do it almost immediately and they're out. So those such kind of experiences is what people want. People don't have much time to do. There's so much on people's table, and they don't have hardly have much time to go somewhere and just waste their time. So you need. So these are some of the ways you people look at. Okay, how seamless is our process is done. Let's say if it's before, if it's an e-commerce site, before checkout. So you need to look at those things and then reduce them. You get your guys, your engineers to ensure that that journey it's an experience, right? It's a smooth and easy, So that's where you need to improve on your technology, and then increase investor. Of course, you keep updating, to reflect the reality, right? Why not? Easily, we'll just get an investor, right? Of course, yeah. Once you are demonstrating agility, and all that, you definitely be attracting potential investors in the process. So, yeah, so I think that's some of the benefits of pivoting. Now, yeah, so in conclusion, startup pivoting is a strategic approach, that empowers startups to adapt, evolve, and maximize their chances of success. But at the end of the day, you want to maximize your chances of success. As soon as you notice that things are not going well, that's why data is critical. I tell people, there's a startup that we're incubating. I'm directly incubating him somehow. Um, he's so in love with his idea, and he felt like there's no need for him to do further research. And I tell him, look, I work with data. Give me data. You're so confident of this idea that if you launch today, money will come. In fact, he's even inviting me to sit on the board. He's also inviting me to put in some money. I was like, no, I'll not put money in something I don't believe until I see data. Data for me is everything. That's how we work in this space. We want to see data. And it's the same way an investor would want to see data. He wants to be convinced beyond every reasonable doubt that this will work. And besides, I'm putting in money. And most times, it's not even his money. Somebody is probably managing people's portfolio. So that's even so. If he doesn't ensure this ROI at the end of the day, he's the one who will bear the heat. So you see, the reason why investors are really, really, really careful about investment. It's not like people don't want to invest. It's left for the founders to do their due diligence to ensure there's data that says here, yes, this thing will work. If I invest in this, will not fail. These are just the critical things investors are looking at. So I asked him, look, I need to see data. If you're not going to do questionnaires just to get people's opinion, do a focus group, right? Get some people, demo whatever it is, and hear their honest feedback, and all that. So it's not about you saying no. You are seeing probably what I'm not seeing, but I need to see what you are not, what you are seeing. If I don't see it, there's no way we'll align. These are just the simple issues. So yeah, um, and then like I said earlier, pivot is not a sign of failure, but it's a testament to a state of resilience and determination to succeed. If you have to ensure you succeed, you listen to what people are saying, listen to the direction that people are going, especially if you are working with the Gen Z. They respond to technology, they respond to change. And so it means that if they're your market, right? Then you have to be up and running. You have to be doing research, you have to listen to what they're saying to ensure that they keep coming. Uh, you know, to give you that money, right? And enjoy the services you're providing. All right, so here we are, Q&A. So let's have the questions. Let them keep coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kyoto. So there are some questions in the comment section. So let's start bringing them out one by one. So I think the first question is, can you explain the metric part in details, please?
Yeah, so metric, they're just basically what um, it just basically any data that tells you are making progress. It might be something you will establish by yourself. But of course, some of the basic metrics that we know for a business, the essence of any business is for it to make profit. So we want to see money coming in, cash flow, right? So if we are not making money, number one, that's metric number one. We know that we're not making progress because the essence of business is defeated, right? And then some metric we want to see customer, right? We need to see more customers. Let's say, for instance, every month or every week, we need to see two or three or more customers adding up to what we already have. This is another metric, right? We need to see our social media platform growing because it is what people see. Um, your content or whatever. That's how people get to know whatever you're doing. So we need to see people. Before I remember, people used to startups used to take traction. So it ends with people, probably people that have signed up. But how many of these people are paying customers, right? So it has gone beyond just people who have signed up. You have a database, but they are not being converted to be paying customers. So they have to be paying. So if you have paying customers, it affects automatically affects your revenue. Your revenue begins to go up, and that's the most important part of the metrics. It's for me it's top uh, on the list of the metrics you have. So I just mentioned like three, but yet again, like I said, it all depends on the space where you're working. A metric might mean something else for a business in a particular space. But for me, very critical metrics that I like to see. I like to see revenue. I like to see customer base improving every day. At least we should have one or two people uh, joining our customer base that will already will reflect to revenue, right? And stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question we have, someone said, can you throw more light on the types of pivoting slides, the slide on types of pivoting or something like that?
Okay, so we should go back to uh, types. Okay, so more like okay, side. Okay, for instance, the number one for a product. Let's say, for instance, you have an e-commerce uh, product, right? There might be a future, right? You actually maybe you add a future to a new feature to what's currently there. That can be a pivot, right? You realize that if this particular feature, I'm just thinking of what in an e-commerce, or maybe a feedback. Initially, there's nothing like feedback, and probably your customers have been trying to reach out to you and say, "We love it, we love this thing," and then you just included a feedback feature on the platform. That's a pivot, right? And because you introduce this particular feature, it helps to stabilize or make your business more competitive because at this point you are getting feedback on the product itself, the delivery, the processes, the journey of the product. So a future or a target audience of the product. So another future probably a particular audience, right? There's a particular feature that relates to them, right? So you bring in that feature and they're excited about it and they keep doing business with you. So it's as simple as that. And again, it's the other way around. A pivot, a feature might even be entire affect the entire product, that one feature. So every other thing is gone off. You have just discovered one feature, you just hacked one feature that will eventually change the story of your startup or your product. So that particular feature might even be the entire business, might replace every other thing that has been there. So it comes in there and is what people have been looking for, waiting for you to fix, and they will do business with you, and then you're able to achieve that. That's a pivot, right? So, market pivot, now shifting the target market or customer segment while keeping the product intact. Um, for instance, if your product is meant for Gen Z, right, uh, or for Gen Z, but you made it for, because you didn't do enough research, you didn't think that it was meant for the millennials, right? Now these are age range. And if you look at that, very, very critical. If you have not gone to really read about the millennial, the baby boomers, go. It really gives you some information. You will deduce some good information that will help you in your business. You need to know, because these sets of people, all right, they operate differently. Their likes and the things that, and then it's also age range, right? So that information will really help you. So if you are provided a product for the millennials, but in the ideal sense, that particular product is supposed to be for the millennials. That's where there's a shift in market, in target market. So if you realize that, you automatically move it to the right people, sets of people, or the target audience or customers. So what was meant for the millennials, okay, for the Gen Zs, was was delivered for the millennials. So you figured it out, and now move your target audience to the right target audience. That's shifting. That's market pivot. Then technology again, like we mentioned, you're using it. Technology is not seamless. Maybe because you didn't have enough money when you were building, but you made some little revenues, right? And in order to make it seamless, so that people can just go through the journey, the processes, and just enjoy it. We go through process. I have my background is programming, right? So I wish you can just see what I'm saying. Uh, um, so there are processes. People, there are better ways to design, right? Processes involved in a particular product. Some are very seamless. Some he his understanding, right, is not good enough to be able to deploy a certain process in a way and manner that is simple, right? So, but somebody was able to do that. So you have two different products doing the same thing, but one experience is very nice, the other one is not. It's simple as that. Or the technology that's um, um, yeah, more efficient is faster, the other one is slow because of the codes are old. They are not optimized, or whoever using the algorithm and all that didn't do a good job, or you gave a cheaper person who did not have enough experience to use more efficient codes in his design. So he was able to design whatever he provide. He gave you as a product. You're using it for whatever it is, to deliver your value. But then you're able to get someone. So feedback normally will tell you, people who have used similar platform doing the same thing will tell you, if they're whenever they're using your platform, they will tell you it's stressful, delays, maybe your SMS will not even come early, whatever code to validate is coming um, doesn't come in time. Most times you get even tired and just abandon it. But more efficient platforms, right, or products, the moment the codes would usually come in, and not maybe at the payment uh, stage or phase. So most of these things they just deliver. It's just design. It's just the coding, the programming. Trust me. Today, in a day and age, speed is very critical at this point. So certain codes are not efficient enough to ensure that kind of delivery. So that's where technology will pivoting on technology will do. So you have a more efficient technology, same business but efficient technology. This time around, people go in, enjoy the journey, and then yeah. So business model, of course, how you're making money. It might be even your pricing strategy. It might even be okay. You're overcharging. So you kind of create a balance. Um, you know, of course, you have to explain, oh, well, we're doing a reduction. We just want our customers to enjoy them, to enjoy our pricing, our our stuff and all that. So you reduce your price, or you kind of balance it, or you bring some models, probably saying, okay, some payment plan. Okay, so you don't have to pay everything. You can do the first payment and then the second payment. So we have a lot of strategy on pricing, that are bit friendly for people. So these are some of the um, pivoting you do on business model. And then distribution channels I mentioned earlier earlier on. Probably you're not utilizing the best channel. You figured out that, oh, this channel will give you more efficiency and more results, and then you adopt it, you know, and then you start using that channel. So yeah, basically, so that's what about. I don't know if you still have if I've made it, any sense. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think there's another question. Can you also talk about this using Nigerian or African businesses? I think she meant, can you talk about pivoting, like example of Nigerian or African businesses that pivoted?
I think probably should join when I began by telling a story. And these are two businesses. These are two Nigerian businesses. One of them is in Abuja. One of them is my business, right? I'm part of it. So these are Nigerian businesses. So except they are not foreign businesses, they are Nigerian businesses. I mentioned how that the business died because um, we lost our investors who are enabling the company to keep giving loans to SMEs. There were issues; these issues were not resolved, right? We couldn't resolve them, and they pulled out. So the company was dying. So we now pivoted to a SaaS, that software as a service for microfinance banks, right? So instead of dying with the company, because this guy is pulled out, we pivoted to a uh, different technology, different model, different business entirely, right? Because it's a SaaS, it's cloud based, right? And people will sign up. So there's also a model. It touched on revenue model, it touched on pricing, it touched on even target market. It also touched on distribution channels. Now, because we began to do the subscription model, the pricing was different because you pay certain amount um, um, before activation, and then even our target market. Now we moved from, initially it was SMEs and MSMEs, but we moved to banks, microfinance banks. So you see, it's a total different revenue model entirely, and even entirely different target market and pricing. So that's a total different. A lot of things happen, you know. So if you look at the processes, so um, most people will do very on just revenue model alone or on the technology. So our technology changed, our business model changed, our market changed, our product changed, everything. And then just a recap on the other story. The other story was he missed is the target market. Instead of delivering his product for Gen Zs, he was delivering for millennials and also the baby boomers. So it was when he realized that, oh, my target market is actually the Gen Zs. So he went back and then put in place the necessary structure that will entice or will relate to um, the, 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 the Gen Zs. And they started coming automatically because they see what they want done the way they want it. You don't even need to make a lot of noise. They started coming all by themselves, and they began to advocate for it. They talk about it through pictures, videos. Also, where is this cool place? They share on all the social media platforms, on TikTok and the likes. What's this cool place? Oh, I love to be there. Oh, come on. Oh, there's a new place in the block, and all that. So yeah. So it went, and they are good at this. Yeah. They just is you know, so they sold. So that was how the business changed. So I don't know if that works for you. I'm just telling you the ones I know critically. I know I'm part of. There's so many of them out there, but I rather tell you the ones I know because I know so much about what how it happened.
Okay, thank you very much, Theodore. So I can't see any other question here. So I'll just believe that there are no more questions. So Fred, he didn't say Jay Z. He says Gen Z. Gen Z, not Jay Z.
Generation Z. So that's Generation Z.
So you can Google the meaning of Generation Z or Gen Z later. So
It's
guys,
possible he's a Gen Z himself.
so guys, first off, thank you very much for the pivot session, Theodore. Thank you very
Thanks, sir.
much. So guys, we are done with the pivot session. So quickly we will move over to the session on investment readiness. First off, the investment readiness session is not like something new. If you followed all the what is this Gen? Please, Fred, Google up Gen Z, Gen, Generation Z. Google it up. So let's move on to investment readiness. So I would like to state that investment readiness is not something strange to start with. If you followed all the session from the first day you started your training till today, and you did all the market research, product development, getting feedback, even the resources we shared on your page, and what's it called? The books we shared specifically two very important books that I encouraged everyone to read, aside from the one I shared during my session. And then for ideate 4, Sylvia Huang from Australia, I think she shared a couple of books too. So if you followed all the sessions and all the resources that have been shared with you, by now I would confidently say that you should be investment ready. Even if you started with a low quality product, or product you were not sure of, but you followed the whole process, even the extra sessions we did, the mentorship, and the mentors gave you feedback on your startup, and you went back to implement it and started the version 2 or version 3 or whatever, you followed all the session and you kept iterating, by now you should at least have a strong product with some level of customer feedback. So that is to say that investment readiness, it's not something new. What happens most time is that startups, in fact, people start businesses with the wrong intention. Fine, we all start businesses, of course. The end goal, or at least one of the results that you are looking forward to, is making money, at least to keep the business running, to keep yourself going, and all of those. But then the number one reason is to solve a problem. There was a quote that if you want to become a millionaire, solve problem for 1 million people. If you want to become a billionaire, look towards solving problem for 1 billion people. So if your target is to solve the problem that your startup aims to solve, and solve it better than everyone else on the planet Earth, be certain that you will make your million from your business if you are passionate about solving that problem more than everyone else. Understand my statement again. If you see a problem, for something to be a problem, that means it's a pain point to a lot of people, large market enough to make you break even. So when we are talking about large markets, the large markets that we know are health. When it comes to health, people can spend any amount of money just to stay healthy or to be alive. So health, any product that has to do with health is a very big market depending on the niche that you are going into. Health is a big market. Then wealth or making money. That's where you see the all these fintech apps that help you to save or invest in the US or save your pocket money or do transactions and all of those things. Then the other market is I can't remember the last one. I can remember health, make money, and then relationship. That's where you see all these dating apps that people spend their time on, and then communications app, Facebook, Instagram, and all of those things. Those are big markets, but there are niches under them. For example, if you come under wealth, you see fintech, you see investment tech, you see a lot of sub niches under wealth that generally they either help people to save money, or make transactions. I just hope I'm making sense. If I'm making sense, please type into the comment section I hear. So I'm sure I'm not talking to myself. Guys, if you can hear me, please indicate. This is like a wrap up of your session, so I want to be sure that you guys are following. So this is like a short summary. If you can hear me, please indicate. Fred, Mary, I think I saw Amina somewhere. Then a Foba, Tralalion or Tralalion, anyone. Ayomide, Peter, Stephen. Okay, so I believe you guys are following me. So follow this line of thought. So for you to prove that your startup is worth it, there has to be a market. You can't build product for non-existent people. A lot of people make that mistake. We are the AI product for Abi. We are the Uber for AI. You just cook up a lot of grammar that you think they sound intelligent, whereas beneath it's not even clear what you are solving. I think we had a session on how to craft your value proposition and a lot of that. And I think Abiola, I can't remember whether it's Abiola Jimo or Theodore. I think one of the mentors shared with you some documents, business model canvas, and some things on crafting your value proposition and a lot of those things. So I believe that they were all helpful to you and the facilitators were accessible. So quickly, let me run through what we have today for investment readiness. But then I've given you like a brief summary. Investment readiness is simply the state of a startup that makes it attractive to potential investors. Now ask yourself, the state of your startup, does it attract investors? In fact, you yourself, can you invest in your startup? You know, it's a funny thing that most people, you see them, they are searching for investors. But when you ask them what's their skin in the game, you find out that they've not even invested enough in their business. If you can't invest enough in your business, that means you don't even trust your business. And if you don't trust your business, don't expect any other person to trust your business. So if you're going to a VC, the VC would like to know, one, your skin in the game. Then two, other people that have invested in your business. If you are not convinced of your business, you are likely not going to risk your money to start or invest in that business. And if you don't risk it, it's unlikely that your family and friends or other people that want to give you money would do that, because they would like to see that this thing is at least making progress, and that's why you need some amount of money to invest in it. And if the next stage, the angel investors or VCs see that you've not made an investment, your family and friends didn't make any investment, that means they don't even trust you with the business. Then who is the investor to trust you with their money if you yourself and those around you cannot vouch for your business? Then there's no need looking for investors. So you have to understand that. Ask yourself again, is your business investable? If not, follow this line of thought. It's something that you guys have done, but I'm just refreshing your memory on this. Now, when you talk about investment readiness, it includes having a clear business plan. It includes having a clear business plan. One, if you are talking about business plan, it covers everything that you've been taught, from business modeling, how you intend to make money, how are you creating value, how do you intend to market value, how do you intend to deliver the value, everything. What plan do you have to create value, to market value, so that the customers perceive that your value is even higher than what they are paying for? And then how do you intend to deliver that value, which includes the supply chain processes and the operations and all that you have within that area. Then two, a strong team. If you don't have a strong team, if you are from, I think, was it Chede? I think it was Chidi Nwogu who mentioned, who spoke about founders market fit. If investors don't perceive that you are fit for the market you are solving a problem for, they are not likely likely to invest in you. Let me repeat it again. If I am an investor and I perceive that you don't have the potential or the necessary skills to solve the problem you are solving within a specific market, I'm likely to draw back. If you study, let's say, mass comm, and you are starting a health tech startup, and you have no background in health, no member of your team has any background in health, your investors, the previous investors you've gotten, don't have any background in health, forget it. So as Shade mentioned, if you don't have background in whatever sector you are, you can either get mentors within that sector to be on your advisory board of advisors, or get your core team members. In fact, it's very important to have core team members that sectors. Mentors might be far-fetched, or those that will sit on your advisory board, but it's preferable to have team members that would that are from the field you are solving a specific problem from. Then the other one is having a viable product. Please do not create product or service for non-existent market. As much as, or no matter how beautiful your product is, always go to the market to get feedback and keep iterating until you achieve your product market fit. It is assumed that at the beginning stage, your product is likely not going to fit the market 100%. So that's why you are advised to go to market as soon as you can, so that you get feedback to iterate your product to fit the market. When a startup is investment ready, it is more likely to raise the capital it needs. Now, why is investment readiness important? There are a couple of reasons why investment readiness is important for startups. One, it makes you attractive to investors. Once your business is investment ready and you have a good traction, you have a good customer, and you're getting attention from media. In fact, the media aspect, it's even a different angle of its own. Most startups intentionally create media attention for themselves. So it's something that you would have to consider when you have the right product. It's all well planned. So you can't just sit somewhere hoping that someone will see your product anyhow, and all of those things. Some people intentionally create media attention to grow traction. For example, you can create a collaboration with a blog that works within your sector. So when they post, for instance, they post maybe you are working within health, and so another person has a health blog that receives maybe 500,000 visitors every week or every day. You can create a partnership with such blogger. Maybe, for instance, someone signs, maybe they do a post of your product, or maybe you are giving a discount, let's say a Christmas discount, and anybody that signs up from their platform, they get so percentage or whatever. I'm giving an instance. I'm not saying you should go and do it, but I'm giving an instance. There are collaborations like that. So many companies have used it to blow up, sign up for their product. If you read about is it Gmail? Gmail used similar growth marketing, in the sense that when you send what's it called, a mail, down it you see something like send from free. So I think if you check HubSpot still do that. If you create a form on HubSpot, down the form, so far as it's free, you see something like create your free form here and stuff like that. Gmail used it, HubSpot. So that's a different angle of its own growth marketing. I think Boomi handled growth marketing. So I think that's covered for you. Then secondly, why investment readiness is important. Investment readiness helps startups to avoid making mistakes that can lead to failure. Now, startups that are not ready for investment are likely to raise too much or too little capital, to spend on the wrong things, or to make other costly mistakes. You must have seen the news and all about one of the startups in Nigeria. I wouldn't like to go into that or mention names. Sometimes, when you are not investment ready, or when you don't set up the right system to keep you investment ready, some things might go wrong. And once stuff like that go wrong, it might be very hard for investors to trust you again with their funds. So as much as you are um, growing your startup, try to set up the right system. One key mistake again that startup make, doing transaction with your personal account. These days it's even easier to set up a business account. Try to separate your personal account from your business account so that you will not be tempted to withdraw money from your business or your business account. Set up a system, maybe have an accountant or a system that will require you, even as a CEO, to go through procedures even before you have access to money, so that you don't mistakenly use the company money for personal reasons. Some startups have made that mistake, and of course, they bore the consequences. So it's up to you as the CEO to set up that structure to make sure it doesn't happen in your business. Then third, investment readiness helps startups to grow and succeed. Startups have raised capital from investors. Startups that have raised capital from investors are more likely to have the resources they need to hire staff, develop new products or services, and expand into new markets. But there is a caveat: do not go for funds when you don't need them. We are stressing on the word need. Some startups just want to raise money for the sake of raising money and being on the media and maybe feeling that they have a lot of money and all of those things. Please don't raise. In fact, it's even better to get debts, like borrow, to run your startup so that you be on the right, you'll be on your toes. Or better still, sell your product as much as you can so that you have enough customer. But if there is need, let equity funding be your last option. A lot of people give out too much equity from the beginning, and before you know it, you are struggling the ownership of your company with investors. Let equity funding be your final option. If you see debt financing at a lower cost, go for it. But let equity financing from VCs be your last option. Now, how can you assess your investment readiness? There are a number of factors that investors consider when assessing a startup investment readiness, and I've mentioned some of them. One, the business plan, the whole of your business model, how you intend to create value, how you intend to deliver it to customers, your marketing processes, your channel, how you intend to reach customers, and all of those things. Your mission, your vision, how big the team thinks, the capability of the team, the target market, how big the market is, how you intend to reach the market, the competitive landscape, your SWOT analysis, what competitive advantage do you have more than your competitors, your financial projection. All of those things come under business plan. Your product or service, how is your product different from what is in the market? What are you doing better? Then the market, how large is the market and is it growing? It's just like you going to start a market or a business for a feature phone. It certainly won't work. So you should be looking at a market that is large, one, and then is still growing. For instance, we all know that AI is a growing field. So if you are starting a business, I'm not telling you to go and start a business in AI now, before they say it's me that talk. I'm giving an instance. Consider having your business in a market that is large and it's growing. Please, if you have questions for me, you can drop it in the comment section. Then the financials, I've mentioned the financials. Have a sound financial plan and be able to demonstrate that it can use the investment fund wisely. If an investor comes in and see that you are using your personal account to run the business, sorry, it can't work. So from the outset, start setting out structures and processes to make sure that it's very easier for investors to come in. I think one of the facilitators mentioned about registering your company. I'll be registering your business as a company from the outset, not a business name. But then as a startup, you are free to start with a business name. As time goes on, you can upgrade to a company. You can always do that later, but then be rest assured that investors are likely not going to invest in a business name because they are investing for equity, and business name registration doesn't allow other people to have equity in your business. So that's about that. So below are the number of things that startups can do to prepare for investment. The developing a strong business plan, building a strong team, validating the product or service, creating a financial plan. Then here are some tips for you to raise investment. Network with investors. You don't start going to meet investors when you need them. From the day one, start building a network of investors. And these days with the social media, you can do a lot. I have over I have a network of over 100 or 200 or even thousands, I can't even count, of investors on LinkedIn. So you can intentionally create that even when you don't need them. You can intentionally belong to some network of investors even before you need them. So start creating a network of investors. You can start by attending industry events. I think next month there is Dev Fest, and is a startup and tech event. So events like that where you get to network with investors within the sector, people within tech, and some operators within tech, connect with potential investors online and offline. Then pitch to investors. Startups should develop a pitch deck that highlights their key selling points and makes a compelling case for why investors should invest in their company. We told you guys, if you have a pitch deck for us to tear down today, you can send it across. We've shared some resources with you on how to prepare a pitch deck ahead of your demo day. So if you have any pitch deck, we can take one or two for today. Then follow up with investors. After pitching to investors, you should try and follow up with them to answer any question they might have regarding your pitch deck or whatever. Then sign up on some platforms that might allow you um, access investors. Let's say angel list. Do you guys know angel list? Do you guys know angel list? Can you guys hear me? I'm waiting for your questions. So if you have questions, please type in your questions. Type in your questions if you have any question. So sign up on platforms that are likely to give you access to investors and the opportunity to network with other startups and all. So that's a summary on investment readiness and how you can make your startup investment ready. Now, here is an investment readiness checklist. One, ask yourself, do you have a clear and concise business plan? Is your team composed of experienced and qualified individuals? Do you have a viable product or service that addresses a large market? Have you validated your product or service with potential customers? Do you have a sound financial plan? Have you developed a pitch deck that highlights your key selling points and makes a compelling case for why investors should invest in your company? Have you or are you networking with potential investors? If you can answer yes to all these questions, then you are well on your way to being investment ready. So thank you. So I'll be in the comment section to start compiling your questions. So I don't know if Theodore has maybe some things to add in this aspect of investment readiness for startups. So Theodore, over to you while I check out their questions.
All right, thank you again for the opportunity. When it comes to investor readiness, it cannot be overemphasized or overstated, because this is a critical point for most business, especially if your business needs some kind of funding from an investor, an angel, or VC. So it's very critical for you to be ready for that investment, because it just tells the investor whether you're ready. That's why the name is
investment readiness. So it means that your startup is ready. It has what it takes. It has gone through the due diligence, and it can accommodate funding, and it can give a return on investment. It has all that it needs. Usually, investors come with a mindset. They come with expectations. So, um, as the startup, meeting those expectations of theirs will determine whether you go home with an investment or not. We are preparing for a demo day. It's a test for you guys. We'll be able to say at the end of the day whether how many of you are ready, how many of you have done the job, how many of you have um, got what it takes to take in an investor uh, funding. Like I said, investors are not foolish. Yeah, well, they tend to be like like fools because um, someone will just come and give you money. He doesn't know you. And most times, for if you've been paying attention, to the investment landscape in Nigeria, you now realize that a lot of companies are in Nigeria are raising funds from foreign investors. Um, you know, these companies have been in Nigeria, yeah, for most of them, or not all of them, but but these guys don't know them from anywhere, from Adam. But just by simply crafting a document that we call pitch deck, by simply going through the due diligence from all the items. You mentioned the checklist from your intro to your action point, where you're stating, okay, this is what we're using, the use of funds and all that. From the problem, identifying the problem, to coming up with a solution, to the market and the use of funds and every other thing, and then go to market strategy. These are very critical information that investors are looking forward to. you know so if you are able to craft a winning pitch deck, the one will um, that has captured all the details, meeting all the expectation of an investor, right? um, the one that he can relate to, the one that will make him emotional when you deploy storytelling. I mean, somebody took that, how to invest, how to design a pitch deck or how to pitch to an investor. I believe that one of the facilitators must have taken you through that. So, but we're saying bringing all these components together, and then to be able to influence, compel an investor to want to invest in your startup is very, very critical. Um, Pascal mentioned something, is what we call um, founder industry fit. Founder industry fit. He called it in another with another name, but basically that's what we're talking about: expertise in that domain. He mentioned if you are in the agro space, or if you are coming up with a medical app, you have to show that you have the fit to operate in that space. Nobody would. Let's say you read home economics, and then you are designing an app for a medical app, and then you are the one championing it. No, we're not saying that you cannot be a founder if you read home economics or of a medical app. No, but what we're saying is you have to have. It means that you have to have in your team a medical person, somebody whose domain is medical, the medical field. So these are some of the things that will, putting together ensures that you're ready for investment. So many things. And then don't you ever lie to an investor. Yes, they are sharp men. Um, don't just call numbers. We can Things can be double checked in case you don't know. Just say it the way it is. You don't have the numbers. You don't have the numbers. You have the numbers, you have the numbers. It all depends. But yet again, like I said, like I always say, investors first of all believe in the team um, before the idea. So there's a way you come at the investor. You are enthusiastic, passionate about the idea, and you're telling a story. Investors know that, yeah, and they see the sync in the team, how you are relating. They see harmony, so much harmony. They'll know that, yes, we can invest in these guys. Yeah. So I don't know, most times it's not even about the idea, it's about the team, it's about the founders, it's about the founder. So it shows you are ready. You have to know the problem, you have to know the target market, you have to know the solution. And most times, don't go in there. Yes, your pitch deck is a tool to aid your delivery. You have to be very familiar with it. Don't just come and be reading it. Know it off head. And that's why practice is critical. You have to practice, you have to practice, you have to know your deck very well. You understand? Know your space, know the market. They will ask you questions like that. Know your competitors, direct and indirect, those who are competing in that same space. The idea is they want to know whether you are ready or not. The only time you are ready is when you know that space very well. And you have study your competitors like anything else. Study them very well. Like I always tell people, there's always loophole, unless you didn't look well. If you look very well, you'll see the loophole. Or even those guys that are making noise, the big guys, they have loopholes. Look at those loopholes. Most of the time, that's what you're doing because you're operating in the same space. So, and they have dominated the space. You are just coming into the space. If you are not coming with something unique, if you are not identify their loopholes to join them in that same space, it's a recipe for, I mean, you've just created a recipe that will eventually kill the business. Don't even try it. So, investment readiness is you being ready in all aspects of your product or your startup, because it is the tool, the deck that you are using to convince the investor that you are ready to collect his money and deploy it. If you are not able to communicate convincing enough to compel, to influence, to persuade, if you are not able to do these things, then you're not ready. How we know you're ready is when you come and deliver your pitch, when you come and do a powerful presentation to show you know this field, this problem, and the opportunity that lies therein enough to get their money. And they need to also know that you will manage the money very well. And that's why if you come to where the use of funds, how you break it is also very critical. So, I mean, Pascal has said it all. I just wanted to emphasize, like I said, we can't emphasize enough because that's the point. You're going through this program is to prepare you for a demo day where you get to pitch in front of investors. So at the end of the day, that is when we know that whether you've been paying attention or you're ever serious at all. That is when we will know. When you come to us and the investors and the people we have, the audience on that very day, and you begin to pitch, we will know who are ready, who has ever been serious or not. So our advice, I'll end this way. Go back and practice. There are a lot of materials out there to help you. We're here, we're ready to help. So that, and you don't talk about things you don't know, please. Simple pitch deck, no long story, direct to the point, no long English, so you don't get confused and confuse yourself in the process. That's how we know you are ready. The only time you are ready is when you come and present the way you should. And there's only one way, one day One way to find out on that demo day, we'll find out who has been ready and who is not ready, how you are communicating. Again, please, it's communication. Don't don't use technical words, too much technical words. Use words that people can relate to. Some of these words can even end up complicating your presentation. If an investor doesn't understand what you are talking about, you have failed. The idea is to bring him up to speed, to understand what you are solving, the problem, and how you intend to, ensure the problem is solved. That's just your business. Your work is clarity. Communicate in a way and manner that people can relate to it. Please, I beg you. It's simple. Communication. I need to be able to understand what you're saying. Period. You don't need to use too many jargons, too many English. Simple English, that's what we want. We want to understand as well. And you're the one, it's in your hands. Our understanding is with you. So, coming to your demo day, well prepared, and just, you know, make it worth the while. You never can tell. You might get your investment there and then. So, I mean, that's it from me. Good luck. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Theodore, for expatiating on this. I believe that the food, in fact, you've given more information about the demo day itself. So you guys, you fully understand and appreciate what he has mentioned about the demo day and pitching generally. You don't need to tell us that you are the AI of Elon Musk and the Jagaba or whatever. We don't need that. In simple terms, what problem are you solving? Make it as simple as maybe a 7-year-old kid can even understand. That's why we even gave you two books, Customer Funded Business and Mom Test. People have to understand what you are solving. You can't just complicate things. So let's go through some of the questions we have here. So, Theodore, we have a couple of questions. One, what is the metric to determine a reasonable equity to give investors? Theodore, would you like to handle that?
Uh, you go ahead. I'll speak behind you. I'll speak after you.
Okay, so there is no particular metric to give that says, or there is no rule that is set in stone on what reasonable equity to give investor. The general rule is that you should try as much as you can to not put, no matter the amount of equity you give all through the life span of your business, don't be at the corner where you will be struggling to maintain the ownership of your business. You can say, for instance, no matter what happens, you can't give more than 50% or 60% or whatever, or 40. So maybe, okay, you are the founder. Let the founders of the business maintain, let's say, 70% or 60. I'm giving an instance. Don't go and quote me anywhere. There's no rule that says you cannot give more than 40% or 50%. But let the majority of the shares remain with the company. And then that's why it's even important to build a company with people you trust, because it's possible that some of your team members might collide with investors tomorrow. Maybe an investor will buy up their shares and own the majority um, shares in your company. So it even starts with building from your team members. Are they people you can trust and they won't, for example, go in tomorrow to sell their own shares to investors to get ownership, bigger ownership in your company and stuff like that. But then that's not the focus. Generally, there is no specific um rule on that. So the thing is that investors' money is like drug money. Like it's addictive. When someone offers you maybe $5 million for 20% equity, your eye will just open that you've not seen $20 million or $5 million in your life. Those things are addictive. So that's why we always mention don't go for equity unless you really need equity funding. If you are receiving enough funding from your customers or there are ways, that's why we shared that customer funded business. There are a lot of ways, there are a lot of business models that can allow you to get funding through your customers instead of going for investors. So if customer funding is not enough, that's customers buying your product or paying ahead or you doing a matchmaking. There are so many models in that book. You can go for debt financing if you can get it at a lower interest. Let equity funding be that you really need it to grow your business. And then have your legal team. Please don't go and raise equity if you don't understand the jargons within the investing sector. It's better to have a legal team or be attached with an incubator or accelerator that will provide you all of those services, drafting the term sheets, interpreting those terms to you, and all of those things. Don't go and maybe you see safe and you don't know the meaning of safe. You think it's just safe as it's safe. Please don't go for negotiations if you don't understand what you are going for. So it's always good to have a lawyer attached to your business, or you have an accelerator or incubator that provides all those services to you. So I hope I've answered your question, Mary. When you're going for investment, of course, there will be investors with different offers. For example, someone can give you $5 million for 20% equity. That's a higher one. Someone might give you a lower offer, maybe $2 million for 15% equity and all. So it depends on the need, but the whole thing is always go for investment that won't allow you to give too much equity. It's not very good to give out too much equity at the beginning, so that when you reach Series A or when you be going for higher fundraising, you won't be looking for places equity to give. I just hope you guys understand me. Then if you have questions on this that I've mentioned, please drop it in the comment section. Theodore, do you have any addition on this before we move to the next question?
Yes, yes. So you did justice to that question. Just to add a few things, it is expected that you want to make more rounds. Let's say from C to Series A, Series B. So the idea is you don't give too much equity, so you don't most time you have to have something, right? And then you also have to have something available for future dilution, right? So whatever you are giving, you are giving with mind that okay, this is not the only race that we have to do. Since we are going to do future race, so we have to keep small pool, so that we will keep diluting as we move. If there's need be for most times it's for expansion. We want to do expansion, expand across some major cities or major countries in Africa, and then Asia, and and all that. So these are some what some of these fundings are for. Yeah. So So you are supposed to leave in mind when you are taking equity. He said that you have to look at what you don't have to just give out, and then but you have to give something reasonable enough for you to, since you already have a budget, and all that. Like, and then they say, money is crazy, man. Somebody has not even seen 1 million. You give him 1 million. There's wahala now. He's going to run mad for a period of time, and it's the reason why business keep failing because of this thing. What money does to some of these founders as soon as they have money, the kind of money that they have never seen in their life comes. So what investors are doing right now is by milestones now. So if you achieve this point, you unlock the next tranche. You'll keep unlocking like that until so they don't tend to give you like they used to, the whole box. So yeah, that way you don't run mad and just squander the money. Like, so yeah. So just if you just that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Theodore. Then the other one, Mary is asking, she would like to drop a pitch deck. Mary, I don't think there is time for that though. We told you guys to send in your pitch deck ahead of time, but then maybe I'll discuss with Theodore if we can create another time specifically for pitch decks for us to give you feedback. Maybe let's say a week before what's it called? The demo day or something. If we can create out maybe 30 minutes or an hour to give general feedback on pitch deck. Maybe we have to do that. We're already running out of time. The other one you said, is it VC? I don't understand your question. If you are asking the meaning of VC, VC means venture capital. So venture capital are firms or companies that specifically invest in startups. So unlike angel investors are money bags that invest in startups. So big, high network individuals, let's say the likes of Dangote, they've made their money and they want to invest. So they might devote a particular percentage of their money, the portfolio of their investment to startups or to startup funding, while they still have other assets and all. So that differentiates angel investors from VCs, companies that are set up specifically to invest in high growth company, get equity in them, and help them grow and all. Then someone is asking, how do I share my pitch deck for feedback? We've just mentioned that. So we might create our time for that. So maybe you can chat me up later. I can beg Theodore if you can make more time. Let's make out a time to give a general feedback for everybody. Please explain the part you mentioned that if a company is registered as a company, it restricts investors from investing. So I mentioned in Nigeria, this I don't know how it happens in Ghana or other places. So Ghanaians here and Zambians, what's his name? This Zambian, my Zambian friend, I've forgotten his name, Peter. So I don't know how it happens in your own region, but here in Nigeria, as a business, you have options to register one as a business name. Business name doesn't allow you to have shares in your company. So you will be sued and you can sue in your own name, not in your business name. That means there is no limited liability on your business. If something happens or you owe debts and you're not able to pay, the court will order that even your own personal belonging as an individual owning that business should be sold. That is because your liability is not limited. You are the owner of the business and the business is your owner. So we can take anything from your personal pocket to settle money that your business is owing. But if you set it up as a company and it has its own shares, that company differentiates the owner of the company from the company. So if the company on its own is like an entity, is like an individual, a corporate entity, an individual of its own. So if let's say Mary Limited is a company, we can't carry the debts of Mary Limited to go and put on Mary. We will only levy those that are within that company or the company in itself. So that's the beauty of having a company, a limited liability company. Then secondly, it allows you to give out shares and equity. If an investor is coming to invest in your business, they are not coming to give you free money. They would like to own equity. And there's only companies, limited liability companies, that have that potential, or they are allowed to give out shares due to the way they are structured. You can invest in a limited liability company and get shares. But then if you don't have the resources to register as a company, as a limited liability company, you can start with business name. I think I can't remember, was it Elizabeth? I think she explained all of those things. But then if you have more questions on this, you can send them to me. So if you don't have the budget to register as a company right now, you can register as a business name and later upgrade as a limited liability company. But then if you have the budget, you can just go straight to it. So that's about that. I hope I answered your questions. So generally, investors cannot invest in a business name because it doesn't allow them to own shares. So Mary also asked, is it going to be an equity-free fund for the demo day? I don't know. It's the people that want to invest. I'm not the one investing in your business. So if they want to give you free cash, fine. If they want to give you free funding, fine. If they want to own equity, fine. But then it depends on people investing in your business. We are not promising you we are going to fund you, or we are going to bring people that will fund you. We are inviting investors or business angels that are looking for um, startups that match their investment structure or the thesis they've set up for their company. So if, for example, Mary VC has a thesis that mandates them to invest in only AI startup, nothing on earth will make them to go and invest in a startup that is farming and it doesn't include AI. So that's what I mean when we are talking about the thesis of a VC. They have thesis and guideline that guide their action and all. Any sample idea land, not ID pitch deck to take us through to see comparison. I don't understand this thing. No. Fred, I don't understand any sample idea land, not ID pitch deck to take us through to see the compare. I don't understand your question. Maybe you are talking about sample pitch deck. You can Google online. Guys, Google should be your friend, right? If you need anything, even in this era of GPT, you have so many AI this thing, even bad, they can give you a lot of sample stuffs that can help you prepare. Once you Google, maybe you Google Airbnb deck, the particular deck that Airbnb used to win their first funding. All of these things are online. Learn to use Google, right? It's not all questions that you would ask, but then we'll still try our best to send you sample pitch deck, maybe from Airbnb or all of those guys that they won the game and all. When will the idea team organize pre-demo day to rehearse our pitch deck? I can't give you a response on this, but then maybe let's discuss after this. If we have a good number of people interested in the pitch, in the pre-demo day, whatever, we can organize that. But this is actually meant to be the last session. Anything we are going to organize is just a bonus. When will idea team organize and rehearse our pitch and blah blah blah? Show us sample badge pitch deck. I've mentioned, please use Google. Can you please share the two books? Mary, you were in the two groups. Let's say you didn't see it on the first group. Now the ideate 4 group, we shared it again. So go and check the media session, please. Guys, check the media session of the groups. There are stores that have been shared there. If you can't see them, then that's when you reach out. Please go and check the media session of the groups. You see all the resources we've shared there. That's about that. Sole proprietorship enterprise is a replica in Ghana. Okay. Is it possible for us to know the people who are coming for us to research them? I don't think that is needed. Just do your best to get your startup ready, and no investor will say no to your business so far as it matches what they are looking for and they have the right traction. But then, few days or a week before the demo day, we will surely see the faces of those coming because we start doing the online marketing and all of those things. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. I did 4 guys. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. I did 5 guys. Good working with you guys. Together, I don't know whether you have some last comments before we close this session.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you pretty much captured my thoughts on some of the things. So but one more thing, just like you said, utilize some of the opportunities that we have. The Google is there as your friend. Make some research and then improve them and improve on whatever you're building. And then again, like you said, we'll see how we can um, do one more class on just to review your pitch decks before the demo. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you for your time. God bless.
Okay, thank you very much, Theodore. Very thank you for creating out time, the resources you shared, the experience, the knowledge, and all. We really do appreciate it. We wish you the best of the week. And then everyone, thank you, thank you, thank you. We continue this conversation on the page. Do have a great day, everyone. Bye.